more than 12,000 girls, children defiled below the age 18. But also when you look back, 2021, 2020, the numbers are actually higher than that. So it's a problem. Over 30 cases each quarter are really defilements, and there are so many issues that come with this defilement. For us at CEHURD, we'll address the legal issues and fight to ensure that the girls and their families get justice. Very exciting to think about the fact that CEHURD is 15 years this year. And also it's exciting to think about the so many achievements, the milestones, but most importantly to even think about how resilient CEHURD has been.
CEHURD has proved the point. They have provided the leadership. They do the strategic thinking. They set the pace, and the rest of us follow when it comes to social justice in health.
What had been happening, interestingly, in Uganda was that health had been left to, if it's not the executive in terms of policy, then it was the legislature in terms of budget allocations and laws and things that Parliament do. I realized, having studied law, that actually the judiciary had a role to play, but the judiciary was not playing that role.
CEHURD has been so much influential in the struggle for defense of human rights, and in particular the defense of the right to health.
Well, CEHURD started in a very small way, in fact in a very small office I should say. But I have to say that the ingenuity of the two gentlemen, Dr. Moses Murumba and David Kabanda, helped in steering the organization. And Dr. Moses Murumba established and built on contacts that he had in this area of health and human rights.
The idea of CEHURD started as almost a by the way, because at the time, the interest, as any other young lawyers, was to start a law firm. And together with my colleagues, when we had the idea of starting a law firm, we said, let's start a law firm. And the idea started. So along the way, in the formation stage, I mentioned to the colleagues that I really wanted to have a public interest wing in the law firm. And for me, it had been inspired by work I had seen happening in New York on mental health stuff, where law firms were actually providing pro bono services. So I had the idea that within the law firm we would have pro bono services. And these guys told me, no, go ahead. We have no idea about what you're doing.
I joined CEHURD 15 years ago as an intern. And the time I joined, the country was having conversations around rights violations that were occurring from husbands or partners forcing their wives to breastfeed dogs, which is the famous Mifomi case today on bride price. The reason I joined and I really had this passion was to see how women's rights are protected once they get into the space, regardless of whether you're married or not. So that pushed me to ask questions of which institution do I have to work with that will listen to the plea that I have as an individual and the passion. And I landed in the hands of CEHURD. The institution had just been registered on 31st December 2009. And here I was in January 2010, trying to join the institution that was just starting up and saying, we are here to advance rights of people. I was posed with questions of what can we do. Of course, I was coming from law school and all I could think about was, let us go to court and sue. But you know, institutions are fast. As we were trying to conceptualize and all that, we read the following, about 2 days later, that actually a case had gone to court. But what kept me around was that thinking that I had met the team that was thinking about women's rights and would really come up to say, what are we able to do? And about a few days later, we then get a case of a lady who had died in Arua, and also read cases of another who had died in Mityana. in circumstances of death. And in my view, I thought this is the institution that I needed to work with. And here I am, 15 years later, passionately working for the same institution.
We have a 10-year strategic plan that is going to span us from 2025 to 2034. Our mission is to advance health rights of vulnerable communities through litigation, advocacy, research and empowerment. We have tested these approaches. They have delivered for us, and we have also learned lessons from the past 15 years. So this strategic plan incorporates these lessons. Also, it enables us to move with our tested approaches for delivering, for us to see a world where social justice and human rights in health systems is realized. Our ultimate goal is equitable health and human rights for all people, but we have a special focus on vulnerable communities. I actually joined as a Deputy Executive Director in early 2020. And that was a historical time for CEHURD because the organization was transitioning into a new strategic plan. A transition from a founding executive director to somebody else is very unique in its own way because at that time, the founding executive director had served for 10 years. And everything about CEHURD, all the people, he was the face of CEHURD, being a founding executive director. And that makes it a very sensitive transition, even in terms of trusting who can step into the shoes of a director that found the organization, what will be the dynamics. But I'm so glad that with the support of the trustees, support of the board of directors, also with the support of a consultant that I remember, David, based in South Africa, this process was done very professionally. It was backed up with a research, an assessment of internal dynamics, internal issues and external issues. All internal stakeholders and external stakeholders participated in this process, and we finally had a very smooth transition from the founding executive director to myself.
I took over office when indeed CEHURD was in transition internally from the founding leadership to the new leadership and reorganizing the organization, the people to learn, to work and live and serve in the absence of the founding director. And yet the economy and everything were just emerging out of COVID. That was the time it was really, really tough. I must say, CEHURD is such an organization that takes on transitions when things are tough, when everybody would fear to move. CEHURD moves. When everybody was fearing to move from after COVID, immediately after COVID, CEHURD was in transition. When everybody is scared of moving because of the Trump establishment, CEHURD has been moving. So it's a very dynamic organization, but it is also a very visionary organization, thanks to the leaders and the founders there be.
The board is there to support management at the Secretariat to ensure that all the projects move as intended. However, there are many still risks that we are still identifying and analyzing. So as a board, still it's our mandate to ensure that we come up with mitigation measures to ensure that such risks can also be reduced.
We got strong systems in place at that time, stronger than what we had earlier. So everything became a bit seamless, that even at the time when the founding member left, there was nothing to shake the institution because systems had been put in place.
I've seen us enable vulnerable people, individuals and families, especially women and girls, access justice. And I know that through our legal aid program, more than 350 vulnerable people have access to justice through our support, accompanying them through the journey of accessing justice due to health rights violations, due to social injustices, and that's something we are proud about.
CEHURD has even taken tobacco companies to court in respect of the right to a clean and healthy environment. CEHURD has challenged Mulago Hospital and other hospitals in terms of lost babies. CEHURD has done a lot in this area, including tackling that question of unsafe abortion through advocating for liberalization of abortion laws.
We had several trainings from our Center for Health and Human Rights Development. We have had several trainings on policy and legal frameworks on sexual reproductive health. And we have had also several trainings on proposal writing. We've also had trainings on resource mobilizations. And that's how we have come up now with these 2 grants. So it has actually attributed a lot. They've trained me. I was very young. I didn't know even how to speak. This is a journey I can say CEHURD has contributed 100%. If it was not for CEHURD, maybe probably I would not be even doing my master's. I would not be in this sector of the community-based organizations working for the community, having that desire to fight for the community, having that voice for the voiceless, doing that and this, making sure that everything is in place, making sure that all the stakeholders are playing their role. So we attribute this to CEHURD 100%.
I remember, I think it was 2016, when the discussion around information for young people in schools about their health and well-being started. And then the talk of the sexuality framework came in after Parliament had ordered that the Ministry of Education should put up a document to guide. I remember that CEHURD was really very handy in supporting that process. Indeed, there are some of the people that were consulted.
We had some grueling days of editing and aligning the guidelines for out-of-school adolescents and youth. It was extremely hectic and quite demanding financially. And CEHURD was very handy. It came in really handy and supported the process.
For the first time, although the right to health in 2000s was not seen as a right, because it's not specifically mentioned in our constitution, due to the litigation by CEHURD, including that 2011 case on maternal health care, the right to health, as the court said, is firmly now entrenched in our jurisprudence.
Maternal health is not a disease. Maternal health is something you can plan. You know your population size. You know the women who can deliver. When you actually begin to hold the government accountable on maternal health, you have the perfect way to do that. And I think the case that was challenging government on provision of basic maternal health commodities was a perfect way in which we made a case and which made people realize that the right to health was important.
Mama wange, tata wange, bonna bafa, kati nensigala ne jjajja wange, awo nga ndi mu P3 jjajja wange we yafiira, anko n'avaayo muganda wa taata wange, kati ye yantwala oluvannyuma lwa jjajja okufa, embeera gye yali ampisaamu yali si nnungi, nga mpita mu kutulugunyizibwa okungi, nga nkozesa sigumu seebiri, olumu okusoma nga sisoma, nga ngenda nenunda ente, ate nga kwataddeko n'okunkwata, nankozesa. Ekiseera kyatuuka, mukazi we n'agenda, kati awo twasigalayo nensigalayo nga nze aliko ng'omukulu, ng'ali n'abaana be abato, nensigalayo nga mbalabirira. Naye lwali lunaku lumu ekiro n'ayagala okunkozesa. Kati awo kwe kuddukayo, nengenda ewa muganda we n'embeera eyo. Naye lwatuuka eyo nawo n'atandika omukanga. Oluvannyuma lw'okutegeera nti ndi lubuto. Kati we nabeera eyo ewa muganda we, n'atandika okutiisatiisa muganda we nga wagenda omutta. Muganda we naye n'angoba ng'agezezzaako buli kimu, ayagadde n'okuleeta abasajja ngende nfumbirwe. nalina emyaka 14 by then. Kati awo CEHURD we yajja ne bajjamu oyo family gye nalimu agamaka ne boogera n'oyo omukazi kubanga omukazi gwe basangayo omusajja yali taliyo ne banfunira home yali gye nsobola okubeera by then kubanga naye mpulira nga buli kimu kikooye natuuka n'okwagala okwetta ate nga ndi lubuto. Bwe natuuka eyo mu home eyo abaana abaaliyo baali tebali nga nze kati ng'ekyo nakyo kinyongerako ddala nga mpulira sijjaamu mu abo abaana ate nga nange ndi mwana naye nga ekyali kindeetera ekyo kubanga ndi lubuto nekyeyongerera ddala nga njagala okwetta kati awo eyo home gye nali ekyampisi ne bandeetera bakansala abagenda mu maaso n'okunkansolinga ekiseera ne kituuka ekyokuzaala nenzala bulungi nazaala omwana naye simwagala kubanga yali anzijukiza taata wange omuto nga buli wemulabako nzijukira buli kimu ekyabaawo. KSM nevaayo ne CEHURD ne bankansolinga kati omwana amwagala era ffenna tusoma. Omwana ali mu middle class nze ndi mu senior. Bamukwata ne bamutwala mu kkomera kubanga yali agezaako okwegaana naye yamala n'akkiriza ne tugenda mu kkooti bamusalira omusango ogw'emyaka 9. Lwe baamala omukwata njogedde amazima gonna kati awo famire yange bonna ne bankyawa. Famire gye nasigaza CEHURD ne Champions Child Care Ministry be bambeereddewo buli kimu, be bansomesa, be bampa buli kimu. Njagala kubeera omusawo ate ekirala kye njagala sinzaaku embeera yonna gye nayitamu njagala nange nveeyo nyambe ku baana abalala.
They've been able to prosecute cases regarding health and human rights, and we've won many cases with the courts of law in Uganda here, and this is a very big milestone. CEHURD as an organization, our future is to ensure that we do a lot of collaboration. We do a lot of collaboration with the ministries, departments and agencies, especially the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, as well as the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. These ones have given us a platform, but we still seeing that the social determinants of health, especially food, education, water and sanitation, environment and climate change are incorporated within the work we do.
With the new world now, with the new development dynamic, I think we need to move our institutions into social enterprises. So as CEHURD mutates into a social enterprise, defining its products on the market, defining its value on the market is becoming extremely important. And it's something that I definitely need to focus on. So if you ask me where I feel I need to be and where I need to be contributing to CEHURD, it is exactly on the things of investment, sustainability, but also on keeping the original vision and the mission of CEHURD.